James Toback, the disgraced filmmaker who is accused of sexually assaulting dozens of women at the height of the Me Too movement, has been ordered to pay more than $1 billion after a sexual assault trial in New York City. A jury ordered that the 80-year-old writer and director pay $0.68 billion after 40 women joined together to accuse him in court of sexual assault, false imprisonment, coercion, and psychological abuse, according to Variety. Earlier in the case, Toback denied each of the women's allegations and claimed that any sexual activity between them had been consensual. Although 40 women were involved in the lawsuit, that number is just a fraction of the women who have accused Toback of sexual misconduct. In 2018, the Los Angeles Times reported that a stunning 395 women wrote into the paper's Conduct 395 HTML accusing Toback of sexually harassing or sexually assaulting them. The smaller subsection of women involved in the lawsuit reportedly won their case on a default judgment, as Toback did not attend the trial. Although the lawsuit was filed back in December of 2022, the trial only began this year and lasted for just 7 days. All 40 of the women spoke at the trial, with half testifying in person for the jury, while the other half testified via video depositions. The $0.68 billion judgment is reportedly divided between $80 million in compensatory damages and $0.4 billion punitive damages. It was only possible for their lawsuit to be filed because of New York's Adult Survivors Act, which created a one-year window in which alleged sexual abuse survivors could levy civil claims, even if their abuse had occurred outside the statute of limitations. This verdict is about justice. But more importantly, it's about taking power back from the abusers and their enablers and returning it to those he tried to control and silence, said Brad Beckworth, the lead counsel for the plaintiffs, after the verdict was announced. Today, a jury from the greater New York community spoke very clearly and sent a message that reverberates far beyond this courtroom. No one is above accountability. The movement is not over. There is more work to do. The actress Mary Monahan, the lead plaintiff for the lawsuit, said, "This is not just a verdict, it's validation. For decades, I carried this trauma in silence, and today, a jury believed me, believed us. That changes everything," she continued. "This verdict is more than a number, it's a declaration. We are not disposable. We are not liars. We are not collateral damage in someone else's power trip. The world knows now what we've always known. What he did was real. And what we did, standing up, speaking out, was right." Fellow plaintiff Karen Sklar Watson declared that New York City was now a safer place for women after the verdict against Toback. "We're drawing a line in the sand. Predators cannot hide behind fame, money, or power," she said via a statement. "Not here. Not anymore." Toback was first hit with numerous accusations of sexual harassment and sexual assault in 2017, shortly after numerous women spoke out against disgraced film producer Harvey Weinstein. Multiple women came forward after a tweet that year in which Selma Blair shared a Huffington Post article titled, "James Toback Gets Us. He Truly Gets Us in the Private Life of a Modern Woman," referring to his 2017 film starring Alec Baldwin and Sienna Miller, which was later retitled An Imperfect Murder. "Ironic," Blair said of the headline. Shortly afterward, 38 women alleged that they had been sexually harassed by Toback to the Los Angeles Times, and that number grew by hundreds by 2018. Much like Weinstein, Toback had been the subject of rumors circulating in Hollywood for decades, though it wasn't until the sexual misconduct of famous men took on new significance with the Me Too movement that a torrent of alleged victims began to come forward. In fact, one accuser claimed to the Los Angeles Times that the expression, "to be Tobacked," began to circulate in reference to sexual abuse by a creepy writer-director via Deadline. Women who wrote to the LA Times alleged that Toback's harassment and abuse had occurred at meetings that were set up to look like interviews or auditions, but were held in unprofessional settings like hotel rooms or movie trailers. Several women accused the filmmaker of peppering them with inappropriate sexual questions as he allegedly masturbated or rubbed his crotch against them. One of the frequent spots Toback allegedly harassed and assaulted women was the Harvard Club of New York, and the women also sued the club over claims that it had displayed negligence in allowing the filmmaker to allegedly commit sexual crimes on the premises. However, they dropped the case against the club in January of last year. After Selma Blair opened the floodgates of accusations, she later shared her story in detail and even claimed Tubac threatened to kill her in the past if she ever spoke of the sexual harassment. Other stars, including Julianne Moore, Rachel McAdams, Today Show host Natalie Morales, and Grey's Anatomy star Katerina Scorsone later claimed to have been sexually harassed by Tubac. Moore claimed that Tubac had approached her on the street in New York City in the 1980s and requested that she audition for him. I refused. 1 month later, he did it again with the exact same language. I said, "Don't you remember you did this before?" she said on social media. Scorsone's castmate Ellen Pompeo famously claimed to USA Today in 2017 that she told Tubac to go F himself after he allegedly asked her if she would get naked in a movie, but only after the man accompanying Pompeo had briefly left them alone. "My friend has been missing all of 30 seconds, and now you say that?" I kind of laughed in his face, she claimed. The filmmaker's current net worth is unclear, though the women are likely to recover just a small fraction of the astounding amount awarded. "We'll try to recover it, but that's not the only motivating factor," said Ross Leonidakis, an attorney for women suing Tubac. "We saw a unique opportunity to help these survivors seek justice." Tubac was at one time considered a key figure in the new Hollywood movement after he wrote the acclaimed 1974 crime drama The Gambler, which starred James Caan, and wrote and directed The Harvey Keitel, starring cult classic Fingers in 1978. But he failed to live up to that promise with subsequent dark dramas of the 1980s. In 1987, he established a long partnership with Robert Downey Jr. when he took on a lead role opposite Molly Ringwald in Tubac's romantic dramedy The Pickup Artist, which received mixed review and failed to make back its $5 million budget. Amid a run of poorly received directorial efforts, Tubac resuscitated his career with the 1991 gangster drama Bugsy, which was directed by Barry Levinson and starred Warren Beatty as the mobster Bugsy Siegel, along with his future wife Annette Bening. The film was a modest success at the box office, but was a hit with critics, and it went on to win Oscars for Best Art Direction and Best Costume Design, while Tubac received a nomination for his screenplay. Downey starred in 2 subsequent Tubac films, 1997's Two Girls and a Guy and 1999's Black and White.